It's always important to have an attitude of safety on a construction site, but especially when working on a roof. Here you can see how I have a support ramp to safely and effectively get the plywood sheets up onto the rafters. I'm using a standard layout by offsetting each sheet by half from one row to the next.
You come and go like a monsoon rain. You hide and show like a lightning bolt. You have it all.
In this video series, I take you through the process of how we created this backyard art studio. It features 3 large windows and glass doors to allow natural light to fill the interior. It also includes an outdoor covered awning space with a hardwood batten privacy screen. We chose to use passive house design systems in the construction to make the most of the year-round weather conditions. In the last episode, we added the foil board insulation to our walls, completed the details of the door and window frame extensions, including the flashing elements to help keep them waterproof, and started the process of installing the timber-treated battens that create the air gap on our walls. In this episode, we'll complete the battening of the other 3 walls in the studio, add the final piece of pre-painted framing for the roof, and apply the marine ply panels that'll make up the ceiling for our studio. With the battens complete on the right-hand side of this first wall, I continue the process of adding battens around the windows. Each wall needs a horizontal batten at 1200 on center. This helps create a joining point for the cement sheet we'll be adding later. I'm pre-drilling my holes and adding 65mm 10 gauge stainless steel decking screws to hold them in place.
Over and over, injustice to injury. This is a part of it all. Sit with it, this is a part of it all.
I then add small pieces of batten to the top and bottom of the windows that mirror the 600 on center stud wall layout. I cut all my battens slightly oversized to help create a tight fit. Here I'm adding a 1.5mm packer to help the small batten fit flush with the others. The foam board underneath our battens is made out of polystyrene with foil on both sides, so it's quite a soft material. That's why it's sometimes necessary to add a packer under the batten to help keep the outside of the batten plane flush, which will be essential for later on when we're adding the cement sheet on top. After adding the 65mm stainless steel screws to the battens underneath the window, I move on to adding small battens above the window.
There's no use in trying, and even if you could, it wouldn't come out like it should. This stubborn kudzu just covers these words. Could you listen to somebody else? Will you only drink from the thoughts of yourself? Are you under the canopy spell? You dig in your heels and spread the back up the drive a bit. Could you see what this is? This is a part of it all. Injustice to injury, this is a part of it all. Could you hike back to it, fight with it, sit with it, this is a part of it all.
The first step to adding battens on this wall is to add the corner pieces. I've pre-assembled the corner pieces by joining 2 battens together, like I did earlier on the first wall. The 4 corner pieces of the studio must be completely plumb and square, so I take extra time and double check with my level before fixing it in place. I'm using 75mm long 14 gauge screws Because of the soft nature of the polystyrene foam board, this requires going back and forth with the screw to set the batten flat and not add too much compression to the foam board underneath.
Daydreamer, kidnap me. Take me back, all the way back to them days. Running around in a gown and a crown, barefoot.
To install our last corner on the studio, I'm using my large clamp to help hold it completely straight whilst we fix it in place with the 75mm screws. Once the corner piece is secured at the top and the bottom, I fill out the rest of the corner with screws every 400mm. Here you can see how I've offset the screw pattern around the corner to create a really solid connection to the framing underneath our foam board. With the two corners secured, I move on to adding battens to the rest of the wall, starting with the doorway.
As a young girl, the fields were mine. We played hide and seek for hours, raised our shadows among the pines. So offshore, playful and free, without a care in the world. I was one rich little girl. Daydreamer, kidnap me. Take me back, all the way back to them days. Running around in a gown and a crown, barefoot.
With all the vertical battens in place for this wall, I start adding the horizontal battens that have drainage slots cut in them that we prepared earlier. I'm installing these battens with a 10mm gap under the window buff. This 10mm air gap will help avoid moisture being trapped under the windowsill. The wall on this side of the studio doesn't have any eaves to protect it from the rain, so I'm taking extra steps to make sure the window can drain properly. By pre-drilling my pilot holes on a 45-degree angle, I'm able to fix these horizontal battens into the vertical studs on the inside of the wall.
No mistake ever kept me late. We spent summers catching fireflies and winters on our skates. One big smile across my face. We used to dance our way to church on Sundays. Mama set the pace. Daydreamer, kidnap me. Take me back, all the way back to them days. Running around in a gown and a crown, barefoot.
Because this is the eaveless side of our studio, I'm leaving a space at the top of these vertical battens for a wider batten I'll be installing later after I've added the insulation elements to the roof. The rain screen air gap needs an uninterrupted connection between this wall and the low side of our roof. Because of the design of our studio, each wall frame configuration is unique. With this wall, I didn't use a 600 on center layout for the vertical studs. It was more important to place the studs under the bridging rafters in our roof. With the batten installation complete on 3 of our walls, I move on to the 4th and final wall.
Standing underneath the lights, look into each other's eyes. Tired snowflakes are coming down, collapse into water when they hit the ground. I hear the sound of empty streets. Yesterday has gone to sleep, so all that's left is you and me. I can promise you're the only thing I see. Hold my hand and hear the words I say. Close your eyes and let us fade away. Build a secret place for you and me. Let our minds be caught up in a dream.
We've now completed all the sub-sheeting materials of our walls, including the OSB bracing sheeting, the membrane, oil board insulation, and then these treated timber battens that create the rain screen for the cement board that'll be coming on later. We can now finish off this bug screen that we installed earlier, just to stop insects from getting through our water channels in this treated timber batten material. We'll just be wrapping it up and stapling it and trimming it off, and then when the cement board goes over the top, it creates a nice bug-proof water channel underneath here.
Quiet voices in the night. Time is running out of sight. A lonely wind is passing by. Tries to carry all the whispers that it finds. The walls are listening when we talk, making echoes as we walk. There's no one left but you and me. It's like a made-up place that only we can see.
Once the fly mesh is secured with the staples, I cut the excess off flush with the bottom batten. It's important to trim the excess fly mesh so it doesn't get in the way when we're adding the cement sheets later. Adding a barrier for insects is an essential part of the design of a rain screen. Because we're creating a permanent void in the wall, it could easily get infiltrated with insects if there wasn't some kind of screen to stop them getting in. Here you can see how the 10mm gap underneath the bottom batten will allow water to drain out but stop insects getting in. With the principal rain screen elements complete on the walls, we're going to move our attention back to the roof. I need to install one last piece of roof frame. It's a fascia that sits on the low side of our open area of the roof. Once this is in place, we'll be able to put the marine ply ceiling panels on. To prepare our fascia, I need to do a small check out at one end so it'll fit over the post we already have in place. I make 2 cuts with my saw to set the outside edges of the checkout, and then do multiple slices at 5 to 10mm apart. This makes it easy to remove the rest of the material with my chisel.
Yesterday, there was sun and there was rain. Beauty in the mundane. And as the light startled our eyes, we let go of disguise.
I finish off the checkout with my sander, then check it in place to see how well it's fitting.
There's something in the air, and a sparkly shimmer on our skin, restoring everything within. Oh, dreamy, breezy we go, easy, easy on our tiptoes.
It's important that this fascia matches the roof plane perfectly, so when I add the plywood it'll sit completely flat. Once I'm satisfied with the fit, I remove the beam so I can do some touch-up painting. It's much easier to pre-paint it before installation than to try and touch it up once it's connected to the roof rafters. Once the paint's dry, I return the beam to its position, clamp it in place, and fix it off with the heavy 14-gauge timber screws we've been using throughout the framing process.
Hand in hand, building castles out of sand, reaching for the grand. As willows align, we lose track of time. Head up high, now we climb. Dreamy, breezy we go. Easy, easy on our tiptoes, undercover.
Yesterday I started the sheeting process of the roof with our marine ply, but I got my clients to help prepare off-site by painting polyurethane on both sides. This way we'll get the nice natural timber look from underneath when we look up at the ceiling. We've been having severe weather conditions during springtime in this location, so we've got a small window of opportunity of good weather today and over the next couple of days to get all the roof elements on so we can waterproof our site with the installation of the doors and windows. So today we're going to try and finish sheeting all the plywood, then we'll be adding our membrane, insulation, battens, and then finally corrugated iron.
It's always important to have an attitude of safety on a construction site, but especially when working on a roof. Here you can see how I have a support ramp to safely and effectively get the plywood sheets up onto the rafters. I'm using a standard layout by offsetting each sheet by half from one row to the next. Once the plywood sheet is roughly in the correct position, I double check the outside edges that it's lying correctly on the rafters. I use my set square to make sure the sheet is laying square on the roof frame before securing it with a nail on each corner.
Turn around and show your face, let me see parts of you. Oh my, our bodies interlace, slow and easy.
I then mark out pencil lines aligning with our roof rafters to nail out the center of the plywood. I'm using a nail gun like I did with the wall sheeting to help speed up this process.
I can hear you within the silence. We will dance away the gloomy days right here. We are silver line, one of a kind, you and me.
I'm using slightly shorter 40mm long nails for the outside edge of the sheets that run along the front of the awning. The plywood sheeting isn't wide enough to reach the outside edge of our roof, so I'll be adding a thin strip of plywood to fill this gap later. For safety reasons, I bring one sheet of plywood up at a time, fix it in place before bringing the next sheet up for installation.
Stay close when it rains, let me keep parts of you. Hand in hand is how we sleep every night. And I will watch you, breath after breath, hold on, so beautiful. And if you fall, I will catch you.
Here I'm repositioning my movable plywood roof hatch. I built this earlier in the process for creating a temporary platform when I'm working on the roof rafters. It gives me safe and easy access to all four sides of the plywood panel without the risk of accidentally falling through the open rafters. In the original design of our studio, we were going to be using OSB for this sheeting like we did for the walls. But because my client made the decision to have exposed roof rafters, we chose marine ply so we could have a clear polyurethane finish and a much better looking ceiling.
And I can reach you from a distance. I can, so beautiful. I can hear you within the silence. Ooh.
Join me in the next episode as we run the lighting cables across our newly installed ceiling and finish off the outer edge of the roof with plywood strips. We'll also complete the other elements of our roof, including the membrane, insulation, treated timber battens, and finally the corrugated iron roof sheeting.
Could you hide